Hey, bike farmers, thanks for clicking in. We're gonna take this half a bike and make a whole bike out of it. I've got these wheels and these tires. I've got this saddle, got this chain and cassette, and I think the rest of it's here. This was a top of the line hybrid for its day. It's a really nice bike. It's just kind of got a hodgepodge of stuff on it. I don't know how it ended up this way. Again, you know, I'm so close to Trek. I mean, I've heard of people pulling frames out of the dumpster, like scratch and dent stuff and building up bikes. Who knows where this stuff comes from? Warranty items, you know, kind of slip out the back door, blah, blah, blah. So it might be some of that. You know, we'll go through this whole thing. We'll get it cleaned up, brand new wheels. So, no time like the present. We're gonna get started here. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. Now, the very first thing I notice is that this is a white bike. It's very smudgy. I'm gonna disconnect all the cables, hit it with some Dawn power wash. One trick, and I love this trick, is when you have the wheels off, it's really easy. You just push your derailleur in like this. Then you can pull that piece of housing out of its stop, which means you can get that one, and this one as well. While you're back here, you can get the rear brake. Your front derailleur is a little bit trickier. Man, this is a big chain ring. We might run into problems here with this huge chain ring. The front derailleur's got to come up. Man, that's an XT front derailleur. I think I'm gonna steal that front derailleur and use a different front derailleur. Okay, this is all sorts of wrong. This is like a road triple crank. It's just not gonna work. I was able to find a Shimano crank that I think is more appropriate for this bike. Hopefully it doesn't mean new bottom bracket. And then I have this front derailleur that's gonna work good with this crank. So we're just gonna switch all that out quick. Famous last words. Let's relieve this cable from its duties. All right, got the pedals off. So the new cranks say on the box we want 122.5, 113, or 115. So we're gonna have to pull this bottom bracket, put a new one on. Of course. This was supposed to be an easy one. It looked easy when it was hanging on the hooks. Here we go, 113 it says. All right, 68 by 123. Bottom brackets are lefty tighty, reverse thread on the drive side. Now you would think pedaling, you know, you're pedaling forward, right? That would be righty-loosey, right? Never made sense to me. Like, why do they do that? Why do they reverse thread them if this will loosen it as you pedal? Well, what happens is the bearings on the inside reverse the force. Yeah, I know. I can't wrap my brain around that either. But the bearings will reverse the force. So actually, as you're pedaling forward, the force is continuously tightening the bottom bracket as you pedal. That is fun to think of for me, because I'm a nerd. Doesn't get much easier than right now to clean this. Oh, I could even take that front derailleur off, can't I? That was the whole point, is we're gonna harvest this XT front derailleur. Okay, I'm gonna put this front derailleur right in the same spot as the old one and hope things line up. Probably should have put the crank on first. Yeah, it's not even close. That should work. Well, I don't think we needed that big of a bottom bracket. It's what the box said. This bike's gonna have a pretty wide Q factor. Man, I don't know. Yeah, I'm just gonna undo it. I'm gonna put that old bottom bracket back on. Hey guys, it's in the details, right? So this is an aluminum bike, which means it's got a 73 millimeter bottom bracket shell, not a 68. So I had a 68 in there, and then I found a 73 by 123, and I kind of eyeballed it, and it's definitely shorter on the drive side. Now, whether it's short enough is to be found out here in a minute. I'm just gonna do this side. Oh, yeah. This is really turning into quite the situation. Okay, so that still seems really long. I'm going with a shorter one. If anybody knows a way to avoid this trial and error, back and forth, figuring out bottom bracket length with cranks, if there's a measurement, I've never learned it. I don't know what it is, but this has to end. This is gonna break me. I waste so much time trying to figure this out on bikes. Okay, so I found a 113 and tried it, and I didn't like how it looked. So I went looking for a 118. It's right in the middle. That I like the way it looks. So right now, out of the box, this derailleur is lined up with the small cog. There's a nice little gap between the chainstay and the inner ring. I think this is the right length. Everything looks good to me. Ugh. Seriously, peeps, if anyone knows how to get around trial and error in this situation, please let me know. I've never learned. I don't know what the trick is, but it shouldn't be this difficult. I mean, it helps to pay attention and know your bottom bracket shell size. This is good enough for who it's for. Get these pedals back on. This is why most bike shops don't do used bikes. It can quickly get out of hand and start costing a lot of money. Thankfully, it's the middle of winter and I don't have a whole lot better things to do. I mean, I don't know if I should be thankful for that or not. Better than having a job, I suppose. Look at that. Okay, bike farmer know-it-all friends. What do you call that? Yeah, you call that a dork disc, don't you? I call it a spoke protector because it protects your spokes. And I put them on my bikes and I leave them on my bikes and I like them and I watch them save the spokes on bikes all the time. And then I talk about it and I rant and I rave and I talk about how stupid you all are for cutting them off your bikes, that they're not dorky, that they serve a really good purpose and they're gonna save you in the long run because you don't know what the hell you're talking about. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know when your bike's gonna tip over. You don't know anything, right? You just know nothing, Jon Snow. So here's the deal. I rant and I rave and then I get some comments. And the comments say, oh, but you don't need them if the limits are set on your rear derailleur, right? Okay, fair enough, you're right. You know, I'm gonna set the limits whether you like it or not. And my limits are gonna be set right. You're right. And then some idiot is gonna come and knock my bike over, or this bike over, or your bike over, or something. Some idiot is gonna mess it all up, and its rear derailleur is gonna take a hit, it's gonna bend the hanger, and then you're gonna be driving up a hill, you're gonna be riding up a hill, and then you're gonna shift under load, and it's all gonna come crashing down and throw that chain right into the spokes and rip your rear wheel apart, and you're looking at $250 worth of repairs, all because you wouldn't be caught dead with that heavy, super heavy, ugly, obscene, I don't know what else you guys have called it, that disgusting, offensive dork disc. But there it is. This bike gets it. I tell you what, you guys in your comments are gonna give me a heart attack. If the bottom bracket thing doesn't kill me, the comments will. I don't know what it's gonna take for you guys to learn. You know, you're worse than my customers, I tell you what. You just don't listen. You insist you know better. What do you think I'm into this so I can lie to you? You want me to lie to you? I'm really not that upset. I'm being funny here for everybody that's about to click out. Here we go. It's a Trek bicycle, so it only makes sense that we put on giant tires. As long as the bike says Trek on the side of it, everybody around here is gonna think that it's a better bike. I think you could spray paint Trek on the side of a Huffy and people around here would think it's the greatest bike in the world. I haven't run an official study, but I think that I could get $100 a bike more just because it says Trek on the side of it. I mean, I tell my customers all the time, I'm like, that one's more expensive because it says Trek on the side of it. It's not a better bike, but it's more expensive. So I got that going for me. Ranting and raving. Today, this isn't going well either. Can you even see what I'm doing here? Hey, the local thrift shop closes in 10 minutes. And I want to put a chair right here because I'm sick of standing up and doing the tires and the wheels. So here goes the microphone. All right, I gotta go. I'm gonna see if I can get some footage of it. See if I can get some footage on my phone for you. Yeah, so I woke up this morning and I had this idea. I was like, oh man, I really like sitting down to change cassettes and to change tires and tubes and stuff. I'm like, I gotta go find like an office chair that I can sit on, because I used to have this plastic like outdoor chair that I used in the bike shop, but it broke while I was standing on it, of course, and I don't have it anymore. It was a nice little shop chair, and so I've needed a new shop chair. And I have a stool, like a step ladder that I can sit on, which is kind of nice because it's a dual purpose thing. But I was like, man, I need an office chair, something a little more comfortable. You know, maybe something I can sit down every once in a while, have a cup of coffee. So I'm gonna hopefully get there before it closes. It's only like 2 minutes away. So it's 3:52, it closes at 4. I'll check in once we get in there. Nice. I should get that one. They're turning the lights off on me.
Well, I'm sorry, but we are closing in 2 minutes.
They're closing in 2 minutes. How about this one? What do they call that? That's like a bent back or something like that. I'm getting it. It's 15 bucks. Solid oak. Yeah. Oh yeah. Uh-oh, I'm hunting, looking for a come up. No TVs, people. There it is. I'm gonna sit down on that. Put tires on those wheels. Hey, here's another thing. If you're into bikes and you don't have a minivan, you're doing it wrong. I know this because I've done it wrong. I've done it wrong most of my life. I used to have an extra Sprinter van. That was pretty dope, but not practical. Minivans are practical. Get a little mattress. You can sleep on one side and have your bike on the other. Drive anywhere in the country and go for a bike ride. That's awesome. Would you look at it? Just look at it. Look at that thing. It's a good shop chair. What a miserable day. This is what it looks like driving into the bike farm. Good old Gibbs bike shop. Bang, boom, boom, boom. How about that chair? Look at this thing. It's got some squeaks to it. Huh? Let's get back to work. It's a nice little diversion. Needed to get out of here. Bottom bracket really got under my skin. You know, I started ranting about the dork discs, but I'm back, baby. Let's do this. I'm gonna sit down to do tires and any wheel work except for truing. I'm sitting from now on this chair, my shop chair. Old Woody the shop chair. One thing to pay attention to. This is the drive side of the bike. which means that's forward, which means you want the tire pointing forward. So most tire treads have what looks kind of like an arrow that gives the indication of a direction. And I follow that indication. And then it's never a bad idea to line up the logo with your valve stem. This front wheel doesn't have much of a direction to it, so it doesn't really matter. We'll just line up the logo. Oh, I like this chair. It's perfect. And I can stand on it. It's also a good thing. I was gonna get an office chair, but you can't stand on office chairs. Not safely, at least. This is a nice, sturdy oak chair. I think it's oak. It's made of wood, old Woody. Standing on old Woody, getting something done up higher than I can reach. You know how it goes. So yeah, I always fill them halfway and just kind of check the bead, make sure nothing's gonna blow off the rim. I don't like surprises. At least not that kind of surprise. So I got some skewers here, came with the wheels. I think the lady at the thrift shop, when I made the comment about the lights, she thought I was like talking to her or something. She was really offended by that. She was grumpy. Oh man, was she grumpy. But I would be too, you know, it's closing time on a Saturday and some jackass with a dumb hat comes in and starts talking about office chairs. I'd have been grumpy as well. Okay, so the same thing to pay attention to. This tire is pointing towards you, so we want the skewer lever on the non-drive side of the bike. Also these springs, you know, go pointy side in. It's kind of counterintuitive. Everything goes like fatter to skinny, so you want to put the springs so they're pointing out. No, you point them in, and then, you know, the whole purpose is it keeps the skewer centered. It makes it easier to get the wheel on and off. A lot of people get that wrong. Just in case you're new to this, if you're reselling bikes, these dust caps are one of the most important parts on the bike. Most customers are going to see this and think that all the air is going to leak out of their tires, and they're going to be stranded in the middle of nowhere, no help in sight. They're going to die because no dust cap. Look at that chair. Look at that chair. Woo! Let's get some wheels on it, turn it back into a bicycle. That means 2 sickles. Bicycle is Latin for 2 sickles. You didn't know I knew how to speak Latin. You didn't know it. Now you do. That's why they call it edutainment, because you're learning and you're having a blast. Looking like a bike. Man, I'm gonna put the seat on just so it looks more like a bike. I don't want anything too greasy up in there, just something to keep the rust at bay. Putting a nice wide, dropped the 6mm. Putting a nice wide saddle on here. Not real squishy. People always want squishy, but they don't really want squishy. They want supportive. But this has some springs built into it. It's nice and wide. It's got good cushion, good support. I find them to be very comfortable. I've had them on my bike since the very beginning, and nobody's ever replaced one. So I assume everyone's satisfied with the Giant City Connect saddles. I should sell them. I should sell them online through an online store, because you guys would buy them. I just really like them. All right. Uh-oh, what happened there? No, we're good. All of the cables are still loose from the very first thing we did there. Remember when we got all sidetracked with everything down here, the front derailleur and the bottom bracket thing, you know, before the whole chair thing? Remember that? Isn't that great? Anyway, since the cables are all loose, you can lube them as you go. If you've ever seen one of my 20-minute tune-ups, that's the main trick, is loosening all the cables, lubing them, and putting them back. I was hoping to do a 20-minute tune-up video, and I saw this one, and I'm like, oh, that's gonna be like 20 minutes plus a couple of wheels. No. The nether regions were stinking on this one, so we had to do something about that. And then, remember the whole chair thing? Remember when I went out and got Woody? Andy and Woody. Somebody should make a movie about Andy and Woody. That'd be a good movie, you know? Some guy gets his start, big break on YouTube, bragging about how much of an asshole he is, and then one day finds himself needing to sit down. But oh no, the thrift shop is closing, and those ladies really get angry, and somebody comes in at closing time. Whatever should we do? Oh man, that'd be a good movie. I don't think we've got enough cable here to reach that front derailleur. Maybe just barely enough. All right, back into the nether regions here. You can see we just have enough to get this cable anchored. Okay, we'll get a tip on that in a little bit. In true FrankenBike form, you'll see this chain has a couple of oddball links in it. Not sure why I did that, but I'm pretty sure I did that at some point in my life. This chain does not have a quick link in it anywhere. Not sure why I did that either. Let's start with the chain like this. So we'll find out if we've got enough chain here. If not, we might need to add a few links. In true FrankenBike fashion, we're just gonna make this thing work. Okay, so small, and just a little bit of tension on that rear derailleur. I think that's gonna work fine. So I would just whip me up one of these. I haven't used one of these in a long time, but I saw another YouTuber use it, and I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Sure does make putting chains together a lot easier. Makes filming it a little easier too. Zoom in. See how that works? It's just an old spoke. You know, even if you're using a quick link, it just gives you a nice third hand. Usually I leave a little bit of pin in there so it holds things, but Park Tool doesn't make these chain tools anymore. These are my favorite, the CT3. Now it's like the 3.2 or something like that. They had a really good reason for it. I asked about it when I was up there a few weeks ago. The new ones kind of adjust for the different widths of chains because there's so many different widths of chains now, all the way from, these 8-speed chains, which 5, 6, 7, 8 are all the same width chain. And then 9's different than 10, and 10's different than 11, and 11's different than 12. What I like about this is that these are rigid, they're fixed in place, whereas the new ones, it slides, so it adjusts for the width. And anyway, that works pretty good there. This bike is killing me. I didn't thread it through the derailleur properly, so I have to undo it. It's sticky anyway. I just don't even know what to do with myself. I thought about the name Hack Mechanic, but I just thought it was too self-critical. I don't want to be that authentic. I think the success of my channel depends on me being authentic, but Hack Mechanic just kind of hits it on the nose a little too much. So I went with Bike Farmer because clearly I'm incompetent. I'm an incompetent boob in the bicycle workshop. Bicycle boob. That's my new name. Bike boob. Bike boob. It's like my two favorite things in the whole world. Bikes and boobs. All right. I'm gonna go up and over, just like every other derailleur ever. But, got my new chair, and me and Woody, and my CT3 that hasn't broken yet. Lots to be grateful for, despite my inadequacies. There we go. Let's see how it works. 1, 2, 3, 4. Cable feels a little tight. Seems to overshift a little bit. Comes down well though. Maybe it's not too bad. Man, what shifters are these? SRAM Centera, grip shift Centera shifters. Really nice action on these grip shifts. Yeah, I think the cable is just a little tight, so I'm gonna turn this barrel adjuster in one turn and call it good. And I'm gonna futz with that thing for 20 minutes. So we'll grab a little wubby-dubby back here and a little wubby-dubby there. Oh my God. I usually have my partner do this. Go ahead and let me know if you caught that one in the comments. It's really pretty hard to get a good vantage point on front derailleurs. Got ourselves a properly adjusted drivetrain. I probably should have lubed the chain first. Lube, clean, and adjust. That's my method. But I didn't. So I used one step, which is a cleaner and a lubricant. Kind of kill two birds at once. Kill two burns at one full swoop. Malapropisms are my favorite. That's one for the comments. Post me your favorite malapropisms. And if you're a Trailer Park Boys fan, your favorite Rickyism. We used to have a coffee mug here in the shop of Rickyisms. I don't remember any of them. I don't have much of a memory. Lost that in my 20s. So you can see the original Bike Farmer license plate back there. Very funny story. I don't know, man. It was 6 years ago. My son was probably 10-ish. Took him and his buddies to the Brewer game for his birthday, as we do. And we're pulling into, at the time it was Miller Park. You know, there's traffic. So, you know, we're in line to get our parking spot and we're following the car in front of us and then somebody's following us in. And then you get filed into your parking spots and we pull up and then our back door neighbors pull right behind us and we all get out of the cars and they get out and, you know, it's just a jolly group of typical Wisconsinites. They get out there and we're like, you know, we've been following you for 15 minutes back there looking at your license plate and trying to figure out what it means. And Joe back here in the back seat thought that it said Bike Farmer, but nobody knows what the hell that is. So is your name Brian Keffermer? Oh my God, we were crying, we were laughing so hard. It was so funny. And to this day, my son's friends call me Brian Keffermer. It was that funny. So there you go. I call myself the Bike Farmer, but my real name is Brian Keffermer. So I'm adding tension to that spring. I don't know if you caught that. I wasn't really explaining what I was doing there, but see how it's pulling way harder on that side now? So these linear springs, that's a cheat that you can do, is you disconnect them from behind the brake and then bend them out, and that adds a whole bunch more tension to them, which they'll eventually lose over time. And then that allows, because this adjuster screw is maxed out, so now I have some adjustment to the brakes. And I'm gonna bend this back one again. I think every single V-brake on the planet stops a bike better than a disc brake. That's what I think. Fight me. Now, I'm not a big fan of disc brakes on bicycles. I think that if I was an avid mountain biker, I would understand why disc brakes are so popular more. I do think that if you get a decent brake and it's set up properly and maintained and whatever, it's better, right? It performs better. I get it, it's fine. But in general, for most people, kind of bikes I work on, the kind of bikes I build myself, kind of bike riding I do, I think rim brakes are totally adequate and in many cases the better choice. The industry and the culture doesn't want it to be that way because everything's disc brakes now and we just gotta deal with it. So it's fine. Anyway, that's my little disc brake rant. And like I said, the V-brakes are gonna stop the bike better, but there's way more to braking than stopping the bike better. So the right disc brakes and set up properly and like some really nice hydraulic ones and so on and so forth, I think it's kind of a pain in the ass. I just don't like owning it. I don't like bleeding brakes and dealing with all that, but you get so much more modulation and you don't need to use a whole lot of muscle to do it. So that is pretty nice. You don't get a lot of modulation. V-brakes never feel right. It's hard to get good tension with them. V-brakes feel kind of soft and squishy. I prefer cantilevers. All around cantilevers are my favorite. I like a properly set up cantilever brake. I think it's got really good feel. So that's my very unpopular opinion about brakes. Yeah, V-brakes to me, or linear pull brakes, always feel a little squishy. It's hard to get that snap that you can get with cantilever brakes. You'll hear me talking in some of the other videos about it's my favorite noise. I just think that really satisfying snap of a good cantilever brake setup was a nice accomplishment as a mechanic. Ugh, I don't like how these pads, these brake pads are towed quite a bit. A lot of people just set their brakes up towed. I don't like that. I like my brake pads to hit flush, and I'll tow them if I have to get rid of some howling. Eventually a towed brake is gonna wear flat anyway. So again, fight me. I've had comments that per the manufacturer's spec, you're supposed to tow the brakes. It was rubbing and now it's not. Looks like a pretty even pull. That's the other thing, is these linear springs that come in, you know, these linear pull brakes, they're called linear pull brakes because they pull linearly. But they have these linear springs, and the tension of those springs drifts a lot more than the normal springs of a cantilever brake. Caliper brakes, road bike caliper brakes I love too. So side pull. You can get a good side pull brake, and it's going to function just fine. Bring you along for the ride while I put this cable tip on. Boy howdy, wasn't that exciting. Okay, I think we've got ourselves a nice bike here. Everything all sorted out, new crank, used chain and cassette. I'm not going to test ride it because it's been raining. But I'll test ride it someday. Maybe I'll find something, but nice TREK 7500 FrankenBike. How about it? You know, these white bikes are so hard to keep clean. So, if you're still with me at this point, it means you've watched this whole video. Thank you so much for that. That really helps. Just the watch time helps this channel. It helps even more if you click the like button and if you subscribe. And it helps even more if you go to my Patreon. You can go to my Patreon and become a member. Get access to some more behind the scenes, more access to me. You can ask me questions. You can read answers to other questions. See some more videos. Some bike farming projects around the shop, that sort of thing. Just a little bit more Andy Q's world, less YouTube bike fixing videos. So that's always fun over there. And what else? Oh yeah, the super thanks. The key to my heart is with dollars. So go to the heart with the dollar sign in the middle of it and click on it and send me some cold hard cash, because I love it. I like making these videos. I like doing this. I like having the Bike Farmer YouTube channel, but I also like getting paid for it. And the AdSense money is okay, you know, but it's not enough. So we do have to find money other ways to keep these channels going. So all of the support helps. And of course, do not forget to click that notification bell so you and your bike can stay tuned.